So today is June 22nd, exactly 23 years after the release of the first Fast and Furious movie. Over the last few years, I've been telling stories about what I witnessed during the production when I was working with Universal Studios. But it only occurred to me this morning that I have never told the story of the Hollywood premiere, so we'll get to that right after the break. I think most of you know I own an R35 GTR. This car came with run-flat tires. However, most owners change their wheels and tires, but this means if you get a flat tire, you are stuck. So Yantu was kind enough to send me their Yantu A22 mini compressor. So I was dying to get this thing because it's much smaller, quieter. Look at this thing. It looks like a mini subwoofer, right? The box shows all the specifications. Then you open up the box and you have this beautiful blue zip pack. It has two compartments, one for the compressor and another one for all the attachments. That's cool. They have so many adapters you can inflate pretty much anything. Basketball or soccer ball or inner tube, bicycles. The unit can be recharged with a cigarette lighter cable or a USB port. Yantu says it goes up to 150 pounds per square inch. So try it out. Click the link in my description right below the video. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be at a real Hollywood premiere? That doesn't happen often, does it? So I thought I would share this with you. The Hollywood red carpet premiere for Fast and Furious #1 was on Tuesday, June 19, 2001. At that time, I had worked on the movie production going back to March of 2000, so it was a long stretch. Filming of Fast and Furious ended in late September of 2000 after Race Wars scenes were put in the can. I thought that date would be the last day working with Universal. Within a couple of weeks, Universal called me back again to work with their marketing team. They wanted Paul Walker and me to go to car shows up and down the West Coast to talk about this upcoming movie called Redline. That's what it was called, remember? My job was handling transport of the movie cars, setting up the booths and such, and we did events in places like Seattle, Cow Palace, the Los Angeles Auto Show, and down at Del Mar, and a couple of other shows that I lost count of. Anyway, as the car show's appearance came to an end, I was contacted by Universal's sound design company. The sound people hired me to facilitate the recording of sounds of the main cars, their engines, and all that kind of stuff. So after their sound deal, I also got hired by International Marketing to attend an event in Donington Park in England. That was a fun event. After that, I thought I was done. Nope. Then they called me back to work with the ADR team. ADR stands for Automated Dialogue Replacement. This is the process of recording dialogue in a studio after filming to replace the initially recorded lines on set. This is usually due to bad sound quality recorded on the set, and the production wants to clean that dialogue up. So I thought that was the end of it for me again. Then I was asked again to review the early edits of the film in various stages. The director, Rob Cohen, and the producer, Neil Moritz, were dedicated to making this picture exciting. They listened to those of us who were consulting, and at one point they invited all the car owners to come to see a private screening before anybody else in the public at L. That was a fun day. Most of us gave them our opinions, trying to be nice and all that things. But after that, I thought I was done again. January of 2001, I saw the first billboard with my car as the focal point. Before this, the movie was called Redline. This billboard had a different name, and it was now called The Fast and the Furious. I knew nothing about that. This was a big surprise to me on both accounts. They changed the name, and they put my car on the front. A few months went by. The owners of the cars had already retrieved their cars, cleaned them up, and all that kind of stuff. But in May of 2001, a month before the release, I was hired again. This time to work with their publicity department. Universal invited newspaper reporters. Remember when people read newspapers? Along with TV journalists from all over the world. All the stars of the movie were interviewed, but Universal wanted me to be interviewed for two reasons. One, they wanted me to talk about the import cars because nobody knew anything about the import cars, okay? Number two, they also wanted me to talk about the fact that this movie was not intended to promote illegal street racing. I did interviews for 5 days, almost 600 interviews went down. Oh, that was very tiring. But I learned a lesson with the local TV and newspaper journalists. No matter what you say to those journalists, and if they don't like what you're saying, they'll make something of us. They were trying to blame all the street racing on this upcoming movie and on Universal Pictures. I reminded them about a couple street racing movies, like American Graffiti back in the 1970s, two-lane blacktop, and I went through a cadre of street racing movies, and they just dismissed it. Well, this is going to encourage illegal street racing, and so Universal went back and made a public release with Paul Walker saying, these cars are stunt cars, you can't do this, drive safely, all that kind of stuff. With that nastiness behind me, I was ready to see what was next. I didn't have to wait too long, actually. I learned that all of the car owners would be invited to the Hollywood premiere. And I called everybody and said, you want to go? Nobody said no, they all wanted to go. So Universal hired me again to help with the after party. Although I pretended stuff like this happens to me every day, but I was totally jazzed. The party would be on top of a parking garage a block away from the theater. It was held at the Fox Westwood Village, just a few blocks from UCLA. My first task was to call all the car owners to see if they can attend and to bring their cars. This is when I learned that the Mia's Integra was totaled, Trans S2000 has been sold, and my Maxima have been stripped of all the decals. Bill Cole's red Integra was still intact, so he committed, so did John Lappet, so the Bryans Eclipse would make it. My Supra was of course going to be there, Dom's RX-7, and the owner, Keith Omoto, would be in attendance. Scott Sentra brought Jesse's Jetta. We did not bring the Charger because the Chargers were owned by Cinema Vehicle Services. We arrived about noon. I was busy working with the setup team. Our job was basically to position the cars, clean the cars, set up the signs, but the biggest job was getting the Supra and the Eclipse on the elevated stage. It took 4 sturdy ramps and a delicate touch on the clutch pedal to get those cars up there. The stage was surrounded by the buffet table, so it'd all have to be perfect. The day before this event, it was the summer solstice. That meant we had almost 8 or 10 hours of sun, and all of us were getting baked. We were in the sun for at least 6 hours. So at 6:30 p.m., all of us went back to our hotel to shower and change into clean clothes. I came from the beach. I was wearing Jesus sandals that day because I was baking, man. So I went back to my hotel, which was the W Hotel in Beverly Hills West. That place was pretty posh. The red carpet started around 7:30 p.m. We all got our picture taken by the clueless photographers. They were probably looking at us, who are these people? And we're walking down the red carpet like we're somebody, right? The event ended at around 11:30 p.m. We all said our goodbyes. I saw a few of the car owners over the next couple of years, mostly at import car shows, but some of them, I never saw them again. But it was a very cool event. If you ever get a chance, take advantage of it. Nevertheless, the Fast franchise is still going strong, and I recognized I was very lucky to be there and then been brought back from Too Fast and Furious. But a Hollywood premiere is something you have to experience just once in your life. And so after I was done with Too Fast, Too Furious, I never talked about the movies again until my wife encouraged me to start a YouTube channel to tell all the stories back around 2019. And here we are. So I hope you enjoyed this story. But before you go, please do me a favor. Please subscribe. Subscribing helps the algorithm and helps me to provide you all the free content you see from me every week. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you next week.